Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Channel 6 TV Community Focus. I'm Kenny Fogel, your host tonight, and it's countdown to election time. November 8th coming up very soon here in the, well, it's coming up pretty soon everywhere, but right here in the Nelson County area, we're especially interested because we've got several elections coming up that you may be interested in or may affect each and every one of our lives in just different ways. Bardstown City Council, that's one of the things that's coming up. We've heard a lot about the Bardstown City Council over the last year or so. So now is the time that we can evaluate where it stands, what we want to do, the future of it. And one of those people making a difference, wanting to be a part of that change and talking about it today is a candidate for Bardstown City Council, a good friend of mine, Freddy Riggs. Freddy, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here
today. All right,
today.
So like I said, you got a nice little flyer you got going around there. So I guess that'll be going on people's doorknobs.
I've been out campaigning, been in several neighborhoods, getting a lot of feedback. Kenny, it looks like this year most people are looking for change. They feel that the city council is kind of dysfunctional right now. It feels like the city council is not moving forward, doesn't coming together. And, you know, I hate to say this for some of the other candidates, but most people are looking for 6 new candidates, at least 5 or so. And I hope to be one of those guys.
Well, when you get into the city council, you talk about being dysfunctional to some degree. Is it issue dysfunctional or personality dysfunctional? What do you see?
I think most of is personalities are dysfunctional, and some of the issues I think sounded like a good idea. People jumped into them, voted for them, was in favor, but then didn't know how to pay for it. And then it started, oh, well, shouldn't I have voted? Should I not have voted? And, our reserves have gone from $11 million down to about $2 million. And a lot of people want to know where all that money went, why did it go so fast, and who was responsible for it. And a lot of the council voted for a lot of these things.
Well, looking on, as you mentioned, on face value, you got several, I guess the 3 biggest issues that people talk about is the fire department splitting up between the county, which cost both sides. The county and the city cost them money. The recreation, it ended up costing both sides more. And the E911, although I think they've agreed to stay together, that it's still been a big issue on the table.
It is a big issue, and I'm afraid it may come up again, but I am glad that they're trying to work together with the 911. It's always better if you can work with the county. And sometimes it's give and take when you work with the county. Now, you mentioned the recreation department. I just feel that the city lost in that deal. $100,000 being given to the city every year. They were taking care of mowing and stuff of that nature. Basically, we gave it back to the county. We didn't get rid of any employees, so now we had to find something else. I just think there should have been a little bit more pre-thought. I think we could have worked together. I think that we could have made it, because it's double spending. It's, the county spending money, the city spending the same monies, and, our families, our communities, we cross the lines. We don't distinct city and county in our kids anymore. And it would have been a lot better, a lot more feasible to work together and made something work on that issue. And hopefully that is one of the issues that we can revisit and maybe work together in that.
Well, you mentioned a few minutes ago about the surplus, how it went down, and people want to know where to go. Well, a lot of it went to the fire department, obviously, and we've got new fire equipment and a full-time staff. Did we overextend?
I think we moved too fast. I think we overextended to some degree. Now, I like the idea of a full-time fire department. I think as our city grows, it's proven that it cuts down response time. They say that every 3 to 4 minutes, a fire in a home will double in size. And if you can shave 8 minutes, and I think that's the general feel, is saved about 8 minutes, 8 to 10 for response time. That's a lot if it's my house burning. So I liked it, but I think it should have been maybe stages. We could have started with a chief, and we had a good chief that was working there, but we could have started and get them on board what we're doing for the future. I don't see why we couldn't have started with volunteers staying overnight once a week or on a rotation basis. So I think there was, again, we could have revisited, looked at it, and maybe come up with a better plan. But now it looks like it's something that we're going to have to figure out how to pay for, not only this year, but the years to come.
Well, the occupational tax is more than doubled this year in some places. The occupational,
we're getting taxed a lot in every area. There's a big issue with the school board. Tax keeps going up, and it keeps costing us every time. And I think if the council, a council member, what does it take to be a council member? Yeah. I think, first of all, you just got to get back to people with common sense, good morals, good values to be a city councilman. Personally, I think a city council person ought to be someone that owns property in the city. Because when you sit up there and make decisions to raise taxes, if you don't own nothing, there's no skin off for you. Yeah. You don't have, those things, you don't have no skin in this game. So I think that ought to be a criteria, but that's just a personal opinion. I think it makes you think a little bit better, a little bit stronger before you make a decision. Like, let's go ahead and spend this money. We'll worry about it coming back, somewhere later. Pastoring the church, you always got to look at budgets. Yeah. And, your budget fluctuates because people fluctuate, come and go. And we're a pretty strong congregation, but large budget sometimes. But we have to make it work. We have to live inside of our budgets. You have to live inside your budget at home, so do I. And I think the city needs to do the same thing.
You mentioned being a pastor of the church. You are the pastor of one of the larger churches in this area. Is it a conflict, or does that sort of go complement each other and go hand in hand when you're working with people in the city government?
Well, I think it's a compliment because, one of the things local pastors are for their communities. And we're particularly a church. We're not a denominational church. We don't put up walls. We cross boundaries. And I work well, and we try to do a lot of community events. Every year we do the Walk with the Cross. Every year we try to do something outreach in the community to make a difference and bring people together. So, as pastor of church, I always have to deal with some conflicts occasionally. Some in the congregation, some with families. You have to help people through situations, and you have to work for both sides. And as a city councilman, yes, you got to work for the city, but you got to work for the people. You're their voice, and that's what I'm a good mediator type of person. I'm a good listener, and I do good at follow through with things that I commit to, and I just always want to be involved in the community. So I think that it would be good for the council. It comes from a different experience perspective. We have a lot of good candidates running. There's no we can't deny that, and I'm not going to run down any of them because some of them's a challenge. But it's good that we have such a good selection, and I think that we can pick some good councilmen with common sense, different backgrounds, and we can bring a whole lot more to the table. And I think that's what's going to make a better council.
Well, you're out in the community talking to people, and you do, like I said, come from a different perspective as a pastor, and some of it I know is confidential. You can't go into some of the issues some people come to you with. But again, what do you see as people's biggest concern right now? Is it just the fighting going on, or are they concerned about paying more taxes? Are they worried about, what are they worried about?
Well, and those issues, all three of them have come up. A lot of people concerned that the tax has gotten out of hand, and they're concerned what the fire department may cost the city in the years to come. And I think that's something that has to really seriously be looked at. How can we provide the right fire department? How can we do the things that we need to do, keep it in budget, and keep it from growing year after year? And I think that's one of the biggest things right now that we need to look at doing.
Okay, if somebody's just tuning in today and never been to your church, never met you before, what is it about Freddy Riggs I probably don't know? Tell us, who is Freddy Riggs?
Well, Kenny, I'm born and raised right here in Nelson County, and I know the county, I know the city, I know the people. I'm just kind of one of everybody. I've come from a lot of experience background in construction, and several years ago, the Lord called me into the ministry, and we've worked here in the community, but most people will tell you that I'm what you get. What you see is what you get. I don't turn, when I go to church, I don't become a different person. When I'm out in the community, I'm not a different person. I'm pretty much my own man, and I do what I feel best. And we had that Bible reading the beginning of January where we included every church in the county, and I thank the city council for giving us that proclamation to do that. But what we do, we always want to put our best foot forward. And I believe that People don't, sometimes we get so wrapped up that we don't think of the spiritual side, who's praying for our city. 2.5 years, I've been walking these streets every morning. People have seen me in every area. I think I've walked from St. Monica's all the way to Walgreens, from Boone's Butcher Shop all the way to the jail out there. I've walked up and down every street, pray over our city, pray for our city. It's just what I do because I have a love for it, I have a passion for it, and we can go better and do better. So when they see me, they can stop me anytime, any place, and I'm going to be the same person at church or out in the street or at city council.
Well, you mentioned you like doing community service, and but I'm always interested. There's always that little key or something. Sometime a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, something burned in you that come up and say, I want to run for city council. I want to get involved in this. Something triggered that, or where was that turning point?
Well, actually, in 2010, some people may remember, I threw my name in the hat and was running for city council. And I looked at it with a lot of people that year too. This year turned out to be bigger. And, you know, I half-heartedly done it because I was doing both jobs and I was trying to get the feel.
Yeah.
Can they trust a minister in there? I got such positive response that I intended to do it again, and I just felt like this year, in January, I just felt that it was walking the streets. Yeah. You know, there's a scripture, and me as a preacher, I have to throw scripture in.
Well, I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
in the Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8, the Lord says, who will we send and who will go for us? And Isaiah says, here I am, send me. Well, you know, sometimes it takes a person, instead of one always complaining, who's going to fix this? Who's going to turn this around? Like, well, here I am. Yeah. You know, send me. And I just felt it was a call from God, from the Lord to do this. Yeah. And so I threw my name in, and I'm not just sitting home praying, okay, God, I threw my name, you make me get there. I'm doing my part because I want to meet the people. Right. And see what I can do.
Well, we talked about some of the major issues, but I know you've been studying the city council over the last year, probably several years. I mean, what other issues are we looking at? I mean, we talk about roads, budget. We got so many things that the city does. Mosquito spraying, something simple as that.
Well, you know, let's give our mayor some credit for some things. I'm not one to just always pick on somebody's bad points. I think the mosquito spraying, especially in our neighborhood in the city, has been improved. It's really gone down over the last couple of years. I think me walking the streets every day, a lot of our sidewalks have really been improved, been brought up to date as far as getting the rises out. They've still got one I need to talk to the mayor about, but most of them are in good shape. Yeah. So there's been some improvements. There's been some, the snow removal was a bit, I think the last couple of years, cleaning just getting it off the street. Now I understand it's the workers, but the mayor initiated it. So there's some good things. I think our downtown has been, it hasn't been a big focus of city council, but there's other areas that are working to vitalize, to bring vitality back downtown. And I want to see that happen. I think sometimes we forget that we are a historic town. We are a tourist town. And we need to make sure we capitalize on every part of tourism and things, because I think the people looking for the big theme parks and things, it's got its place, but the majority of people, you know, I'm from the baby boomers, we're getting that retirement age, and we want to go to some quiet, down home, little small town. So we need to make it inviting for them. And I think this is a great time to do that. I've looked at the village, the museum, historic log cabin village down there. And I look at all the time, and why is it sitting there every day? Empty, not doing nothing. There's another opportunity to draw something, to have a theme down there, have a little small drama or something that we could, bring tourism back to our city in that area. So.
Well, I know sometimes the lines get blurred between a city councilman and a mayor, and the mayor obviously going to be here for a little while longer anyway, because he's not up for re-election. So how's that going to work with each other as far as city council and the mayor?
Well, one of the things, like I said, the council feels, and I go to a lot of council meetings, they feel divided. They feel at odds or enemy toward one another, so to speak. Now, it's getting right close to election, and they calmed down a little bit over the last month, but there's still you can feel it's like a rough rub there. I think if we do get in a new council, I think that the mayor is going to look at a chance. Okay, maybe we can work together. Maybe he just got off on the wrong foot. I told a lot of people. I said, John come from a construction background just like me. Mm-hmm. I pull up your house to remodel. First thing I get out of the truck is a sledgehammer, and I think maybe he took a sledgehammer into this job first day.
Well, that's one theory there.
And but I think now that John's gained some wisdom. Mm-hmm. I think he's learned some stuff. I think a new council could work with him. Mm-hmm. But we have to get common sense. Yeah. We have to get common sense and move this town forward.
Is there anything else our voters need to know before they go to the vote on the 8th of November that you feel like that they really need to make a difference in voting for Freddy Riggs?
Well, Kenny, I am creative. You have to be creative in things that we do as a church. I'm very creative in doing things. I'm a common sense kind of guy. I'm conservative. Mm-hmm. But I'm for Bardstown, and I'm definitely one that will stand up and speak for the people. Yeah. And, I just think we got to pick some good moral, good common sense, good level-headed guys, or gals, whatever it may be. But we need to get people that can work together. And I think I would make a great candidate with so much experience background that I have. One of the big things, let me just mention this. You told me that if I don't say it, it don't get said.
If you don't say it, it won't be on here.
One of the things that I was very instrumental in very years ago when I started in the ministry was establishing Bethany Haven. Uh-huh. And Bethany Haven is a place for the homeless that get evicted and things of that nature. And it's really has benefited this community over the last 16, 18 years. And so, I'm looking for things like that all the time. I'm looking for a way to help the poor, help the people to rise up, and also a way to bring people together. So I think I'm a good rounded, a good common sense, level-headed guy, and I think I'd make a great councilman.
Got some good support at home from your wife, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. My family and church folks, everyone's supportive of me. Wife been out, she went out with me to knock on some doors, but we've enjoyed that, and we've got a chance. I ran across some people that are really concerned about our community, and a chance to meet them and talk to them and see what we can do.
Well, Freddy, we wish you all the best. Appreciate you taking time to stop in here with us today and talk to our viewers. And again, November 8th coming up before we know it, and it's time to vote. So I wish you all the best on all this.
I'm going to do my best. I will say this. Last week we were in Frankfort at the governor's mansion and met with Governor Bivens, and he was just an inspiration. He challenged the ministers that we've got to get from the pulpit to the community. And he even challenged people to start considering councilmen and senators and representatives. So, it was a great meeting, and we got a word of encouragement from him. So I'm glad that my name's in there.
So you fired up and ready to finish up this last few weeks then?
Ready to finish up.
All right, well, thank you a lot for being here. Freddy Riggs, candidate for Bardstown City Council. Again, the election day, 8th day of November. That's coming up very soon, so it's time to start making some decisions. And whatever you do, get out and vote. We'll be back in just a few minutes with more Channel 6 TV, Community Focus, right here in just a few minutes. Take care.